I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mrs. Kirkman, will you please read the statement?
This is a meeting of the Council of the Township of Vernon for Monday, March 24th, 2014. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the public and the press on January 8th, 2014, and was posted at the municipal building, all in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Cadish.
Here.
Councilmember Murphy.
Here.
Councilmember Rizzuto.
Here.
Councilmember Wetzel.
Here.
Council President Lynch.
Here. Will you all join me with a salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Things are looking up. I just found a quarter.
Yep,
don't hit the
$15
panic
million
button.
contract for 1 year.
Okay, at this time, can I have a motion to open the floor to public comments?
So move.
Motion made by Councilmember Cadish. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Wetzel. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The floor is open. Anyone like to speak? Please step up and state your name.
My name is Krista Gary, and I just wish to give my heartfelt thanks to Dan Cadish and Jean Murphy for their courage and inquisitive minds and for always standing up for their convictions. Your light will never be able to be extinguished by anyone. Because of what you represent, you will always have my utmost respect, admiration, and loyalty. Thank you so much.
Anyone else like to stand up and speak? Seeing no more members of the public wishing to come forward, may I have a motion to close the public comments? Motion made by Councilmember Rizzuto,
Second.
second by Councilmember Cadish. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Mayor,
Thank
can
you,
we have the
Mr.
mayor's report, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Since our last meeting, there have been actually 4 meetings dealing with major issues, so I'd like to take them, if I may, one at a time. At the last meeting, there was a question as to what is the situation concerning the negotiations and discussions with Mountain Creek and their request for a developmental bond, a pilot bond. In fact, a meeting was held between Mr. Andy Mulvihill, the CEO of Mountain Creek, his attorney, John Federley, our attorney for Mountain Creek issues, John Urson, and myself. A discussion was held concerning their progress in securing financing other than ourselves, and they seem to be having a large degree of success. There were several issues that were discussed that needed to be addressed. You will recall that at their presentation, the idea that they had was that, in fact, the bond, or I should say the pilot payment that would be made to Vernon, approximately 60% of the bond would be made available for repayment of their debt as well as repayment of their sewer commitments. I made it clear to them that at least the majority of the council that I had spoken to in the fall were not amenable to that arrangement, and in fact, they understood it. The request that will come forward shortly will be that 50% of the pilot payment will go to reduce their bonding only. The other 50% will come to the township to be disseminated, 10% to the school district, 10% to the county, 80% to ourselves. So we are making progress. We anticipate that we will be, the attorneys actually are working on wording, and we anticipate that in the month of April or May, we will come forward with a proposed ordinance for your consideration having to do with the Mountain Creek pilot bond request. You may be, I know at least that on several occasions last year, there was conversation concerning a responsibility that Vernon Township and the Vernon MUA took on upon the purchase of the United Water sewer system, being a roughly $9,000 a year payment for the lease on a the word eludes me. When you go across somebody's property without owning it.
Easement?
Yes, an easement, thank you. An easement from the New York Susquehanna Railroad. Apparently back in the 70s, when Great American was looking for permission to run their sewer pipeline from the Great Gorge Village to the Hamburg sewage treatment plant, there was an 8,000-foot long, 20-foot wide easement that was negotiated with the New York Susquehanna for this $9,000 payment every year in perpetuity. When United Water took over the Great American ownership of the Great American sewer system, they continued to perpetrate that. Our analysis of that $9,000 a year lease on the easement in perpetuity represented an unbelievable, we believe, burden to the Township of Vernon, and we actually began to negotiate with New York Susquehanna. We've had one telephone conference call, and this past Friday, a face-to-face meeting with the president of NYS&W, and we will be bringing forward the information concerning what it costs the township to remain in that position versus what it would cost us to buy that easement in one payment and be done with it. So I wanted to call it to your attention. We are moving forward in an amicable way, looking for a way to resolve it, but it will include doing appraisals, and it will include, if we can't come to a conclusion, the possibility of Vernon Township using eminent domain, in fact, to take possession of that easement. The next issue is an exciting one. You all will recall that not too long ago, there was a Sunday afternoon meeting at the Senior Center having to do with the plan for the Black Creek Indian Reservation. And we had good attendance by our governing body, as well as really good attendance from all of the stakeholders, including the chiefs of the Ramapo Lenape. As a result of that meeting, conversations and discussions began, and this past week, I entertained the chief of the Ramapo Lenape here in my office with two of his sub-chiefs, as well as an architect and the person who is in charge of their project, Turtle Creek Institute. Turtle Creek Institute actually is a project that's been going on for our Lenape neighbors some 20 years, and it will be an international and national culture and heritage center that they have planned. It is very possible that that building and that reserve will in fact be built here in Vernon Township. I will be talking more with them and with you as we go forward. They brought with them a working model of the building they plan, which is actually a campus-type building that actually the building itself covers about 10 acres, but most of it is a commons in the center with a reflecting pool. It will include a museum of our Native American friends. It will include an area of devoted to homeopathic medicine. It will include an area devoted to research, a planetarium, an area for performances such as dance and music and other cultural things. And they, at this point in time, project this building to be about a $75 million investment. There are over 220 tribes that are involved in raising the funds for Turtle Island Institute, and it is worldwide. And so you will be hearing more and more about it as we go forward. The symbiotic relationship that could be easily seen between our recreation resort industry, which has 1 million visits a year, and Turtle Island Institute, which has an international attraction, a place of study, a place of education, and also something that would be appealing to those people visiting Vernon Township, seemed to be a very, very interesting point for our Lenape friends. I also know from my meeting with Mr. Mulvihill concerning the bond pilot program that the recreation resort industry, as represented by Mountain Creek, are very interested in helping make this come true. So it's an exciting thing. We're at the very beginning of it. We'll keep you posted as we go forward. Obviously, a project of this size and with the number of stakeholders involved in it, it's not going to happen overnight. But we certainly made our case for why Vernon Township should be the place for the Turtle Island Institute. And I think that it would be, I have some pictures that I'll be printing and I'll be sharing with you of the working model that they brought. The building is impressive, very impressive. The last item I have on in my report tonight actually has to do with a subject that has, I think, taken a tremendous amount of time, energy, and the like. As you all know, before I left to go on vacation, I hired Dan Perez as attorney for the mayor's office and myself in regard to the petition that had been submitted, and I wanted to be sure that in my absence, in fact, things were done properly in the clerk's office and the way the township handled that situation. Mr. Perez worked very hard, and as a result of his work, several things became apparent in regard to the petition. One, there is a legitimate question as to whether or not Ms. Angie Bates is in fact our deputy municipal clerk. Two, there are questions about the process in terms of the way it occurred, and there has been a large and long discussion between my counsel and myself as to what to do about this. I think that it's important to let you, as the council, know, and the people of Vernon know that I have thanked Mr. Perez for his work, and I have ended his employment. I have no intention of seeking any legal redress on this issue versus the petitioners, the town, and while there are major questions that have been raised, I think they are better left to be handled in another way. And that's really what I'd like to talk to the council about tonight. One of the, I shouldn't say one of, when the petition was submitted, I have a copy of it like everyone else does now, the cover letter of the 5 petitioners requested this council to rescind this ordinance. And I am going to add my voice to that tonight. There has been a tremendous amount of legal research done, and I know that it's not an easy question. But Mr. Perez, as his last effort on my behalf, indicated very clearly that he sees nothing in the statute preventing this council from rescinding this ordinance as the request of the people who, in fact, put the petition in. 1,000 people spoke and said they didn't want to see this raise going through. And to be frank with you, from my vantage point, to spend the kind of energy and to spend the kind of time on this particular issue when we have so many other very important issues to deal with in 2014, water to the town center, the pilot bond project for Mountain Creek, the roads project, the potential for the Ramapo Lenape building to be coming to fruition, I would prefer to see us as a community focus on the important issues that we face and not worry about what Vic Morata gets paid. So I am asking you formally to, in fact, rescind this ordinance. I know that it's not the question that has been raised may very well be a tough one, but there is nothing in the ordinance, in the statutes, and this is what happens when laws are written kind of patchwork and one legislature adds on to another and the like. I've been through all of the investigation that Mr. Perez did, and as a matter of fact, brought with me his memorandum tonight. There is nothing preventing this council from doing that. And I would simply say that if you did decide to do that, what would be the alternative? The petitioners would have to go to court to sue to keep you from doing that when you're giving them what they asked. At any rate, please consider it seriously. We're in a time situation because if we don't move on it, the clock runs out. I've given a lot of thought. I've talked to a lot of people. I think this is the right thing to do for Vernon Township. I thank you.
Mr. Kelly, this is a legal issue, and can you shed some light on this?
Sure. Well, one thing I want to be very clear about, and that is that the New Jersey statutes with respect to the position of deputy municipal clerk, and this matter was called to our attention a little while back, require that the governing body do an ordinance to provide for the petition. This governing body, since we took over, has not enacted such an ordinance. We don't have one. Now, the inquiry may go a little further than that. I don't want to say too much more than that because of its effect on, as the mayor indicated, its potential effect on pending items, including what the mayor spoke about and other issues. So, but we do have an issue to address with respect to that position. That's very clear. In terms of the other request, I'm certainly prepared to address it, but I would like to do that in executive session, of course, because that would be attorney-client privilege.
Okay. I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session at this time for, can we do it in a matter of maybe 20 minutes? Or should we wait until another time?
Yes, we can. Can we just talk about the idea of doing it now? I know we're now versus Monday night. Since the way I understand it, we are going to be here Monday night.
We can talk about it Monday
And
night?
that way we could put it on an agenda as an executive session item.
Is there a time problem with that?
Yeah, is there a time?
No.
Maybe just said, no, does not?
No, because with respect to the petitions, anybody has 45 days from the time that they were served, let's go the outside limit, that they were certified, which was, I don't have the date in front of me.
February 28th.
Is what?
I believe it's February 28th.
February 28th.
Thanks.
Well,
And thanks. So February 28th. So Monday, March 31st is well within that period of time.
Okay.
But I am prepared to address it.
But what I'm saying is that we would have to wait until the following meeting, and that will be outside the 45-day window then?
No. We wouldn't have to wait to do anything.
Okay. And we will,
Why is that? If we choose to wait for the executive session on Monday, and then wait until the next meeting, would that be outside the
following meeting.
45-day window?
What's the date of the next meeting?
14th. Excuse me, but wouldn't you just be doing what you did most of the time, say action will be taken?
I was coming to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
okay.
That would be an introduction, then you have, what, 20 days?
No, wait,
Sounds-
we're getting into something different. If as a result of an executive session meeting on Monday, March 31, there was a consensus on having us do something, we would just come out of
Do it at that
executive
work
session
session.
and authorize, and have the vote in public.
Okay. Okay.
And that would be well within the 45 days.
Okay.
Everybody clear on that?
Now, this is in the form of a additional ordinance.
No.
It's a resolution.
The way I see it, it's even less than that. It's a direction or non-direction to me.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Just a question. I was following you completely, Mr. Kelly, until the last thing you said. In order to rescind an ordinance, doesn't the council have to take an ordinance action?
I would think so.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, I misunderstood. I think that's what Dan.
And I think
Dan was asking.
I think I got a little off to another subject on my own there. I understand what you all are saying, yes. The council would have to take an action to rescind the ordinance.
Can we
And do
take
it by
action?
ordinance, correct?
Yes.
Can we take action next Monday, if we so see it?
Yes.
Could we take action tonight and then have the public session next Monday?
Here's what I don't like about
No,
that.
it's not enough time?
No, here's what I don't like about that. You know, I know that this came up, but there's no provision here in this agenda for an executive session, and the subject has not been, not come up with any advance notice, and it's supposed to do that, and we honor that rule. In this case, going to next Monday night is not going to interfere with anything legally significant.
Well, under my report tonight, I was going to ask the council to meet next Monday night for a work session to go over the salary ordinance. And I was going to ask for the council to meet at 6:30. If we can still meet at 6:30, have executive session at 6:30, and then have our work session immediately following the executive session. Do we have to have a prescribed time to start the open session to the public? Or can we just
No,
start it
just
immediately after?
6:30, right.
Okay. All right.
Mr. President, one last question before we leave the subject.
Yeah.
Is there anything preventing next Monday's meeting from being advertised as executive work session and a regular meeting?
That's essentially what I understood we were going to do.
I didn't hear that last part
No,
of it. That's why I'm
I
asking
did
the
not
question.
say that.
Okay,
I
sorry.
said it was going to be a work session, but it's a valid question. Can we have a regular meeting next Monday night?
Yeah, I would like to have it, all those things included.
And we have enough time to advertise, do we not?
Yes.
Ms. Kirkman? Thank you. Thank you for your consideration.
Council members all agree?
Yes.
Thank
That
you.
concludes my
Seeing that the
report.
council was all in favor of having this work session on Monday, we will move to the next part of the agenda, which are the meeting minutes. We're going to go, there are 7 sets to agree to tonight. I'm going to go by them one by one. In case there are any deletions, additions, or comments to be made. The regular meeting minutes of January 13, 2014, can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Murphy, second by Councilmember Kadesh. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Special meeting minutes, January 17, 2014. Can I have a motion, please?
Move.
Motion made by Councilmember Kadesh. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember Rizzuto. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Executive session minutes, January 13th, 2014. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilmember Wetzel. Can I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Kadesh makes the second. Can I have, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Executive session minutes, January 23rd, 2014. Can I have a motion, please?
Move.
Motion made by Councilmember Kadesh. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Wetzel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? I have to abstain from this one. Executive session minutes of January 27, 2014. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion?
Motion made by Councilmember Murphy. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Kadesh. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Now, Brian, on the second entry, you abstained from that too, or not?
No, the one of executive session minutes of January 23rd.
Oh, I thought you said the 17th.
No, January 23rd, executive session minutes.
Oh, okay.
For the consent agenda tonight, we have,
You missed two.
You missed the 31st.
We have 27th and 31st.
oh, I'm sorry. I did the 27th, though, right?
The 27th.
Okay, I'm sorry. Executive session minutes of January 31st, 2014. Can I have a motion, please?
Move.
Motion made by Councilmember Kadesh. Can I have a second?
Second?
Second by Councilmember Wetzel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now,
So,
I'm going to go to the consent agenda.
they were all there, yeah.
I think there's a question, Brian.
The 7th,
I didn't hear the vote on January 17th.
You have a question?
Yes, I didn't hear the vote for January 17th.
Okay,
Dan Kadish.
Which one? I have all okay. The special meeting?
everybody was in favor.
Thank you.
Okay, consent agenda. We have 5 resolutions tonight. The first one is authorizing applying for the 2014 MAC grant. This resolution authorizes the township working through the PAL to apply for the 2014 Municipal Alliance Grant through the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse. This grant will provide $20,467 in funds for alcohol and drug abuse prevention services for the Township of Vernon. Approximately $15,000 will be received from the grant, with approximately $5,000 matched from the PAL. Resolution 1449, authorizing an emergency temporary appropriation. As the municipality currently is in the process of adopting its budget, this resolution allows the township to amend the temporary budget currently in place to cover expenses that fall between the time the temporary budget is passed and the municipal budget is adopted. It does not raise the amount for overall 2014 budget, but allows for continued operations during the period between the introduction and adoption of the budget. Resolution 14-50, authorizing agreement supporting the Watershed Coalition tax equity for the Newark watershed property. Vernon Township joined the coalition last year. The coalition is comprised of the townships of West Milford, Hardiston, Jefferson, Rockaway, and the borough of Kinnelon. As many residents are aware, Vernon is the host community for the Newark watershed. This resolution continues our support in the coalition of its mission to obtain equity in regards to these watershed lands by the way of partnership with the city of Newark, legislative initiatives, and/or legal review. Authorizing the mayor and municipal clerk to sign a lease agreement with the county of Sussex for I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I am just reading these without announcing the numbers, so please bear with me, I apologize. 14-51, authorizing the mayor and the municipal clerk to sign a lease agreement with the county of Sussex for the nutrition site premises for senior citizens. Presently, approximately 75 senior citizens each day receive hot lunches at the senior center here through a shared service agreement with the County of Sussex. This resolution allows for the continuation of that service and allows for the township to receive $22,700 for the year 2014 from the County of Sussex for the use of the facility and services provided. Resolution 1452. This resolution is urging Governor Christie and the New Jersey State Legislature to enact legislation that will permanently extend the 2% cap interest arbitration awards before April 1st, 2014. At the present, awards for interest arbitration are capped at 2%, in keeping with the 2% cap on property taxes. Unfortunately, the 2% cap on arbitration awards is set to expire on April 1st, 2014. This resolution urges Governor Christie and the legislature to extend the 2% cap on interest arbitration permanently in the interest of the county and the municipal governments and the property taxpayers. Are there any questions on any of the resolutions? Can I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Motion-
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Rizzuto, second by Councilmember Kadesh. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do you need to call, everybody's in favor, Lauren? Okay. Ordinance 14-05. This is the first reading of this proposed ordinance. An ordinance of the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey, authorizing the purchase of various equipment and repairs in, by, and for the township pursuant to NJSA 40:56-1, and appropriating therefore the sum of $112,000, and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from capital fund accounts of the township. This ordinance provides for the appropriation of $112,000 from the capital fund for equipment purchases and various repairs. These funds have already been appropriated for as part of the capital fund account in the 2014 budget. Can I have a motion to introduce this ordinance, 14-05, with a public hearing to be held on April 28, 2014?
Move.
Motion made by Councilmember Kadesh. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Wetzel. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Whipple?
Yes.
Council President Lynch?
Yes.
Motion carries. Ordinance 1405 on first reading for the public hearing to be held on April 28, 2014.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay, any council comments? Jean?
The only thing I really have is something I mentioned to the mayor, is that I was nice to see driving up Route 94 on, I think it was a Saturday or Sunday, a couple weekends ago, and Mountain Creek had a couple of their employees out there cleaning up the highway. Now that the snow melted and all the debris was out on the highway, it was actually nice to see that they were taking the initiative to send some of their employees out there to pick some of that stuff up. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Kadesh?
Well, first, we received copies of letters from the state of New Jersey Water Supply and Geoscience, Water System Operations Element, and 3 communities in our township have received notices that they can't expand their water lines until they find additional water. I was wondering how that reflects with our water supply township-wide. In years past, we used to have a monitor program in which 30 wells in the township were monitored for water level, and since the county took over the health department, we don't do that anymore. And I think it's an issue that we really should look into. It scares me when the state sends letters saying we have a deficit. And I think perhaps it's the canary in the mine. We should be aware and do something about it, I would think. Secondly, I was surprised when I was going through the ordinance book to find that we don't have an agricultural preservation ordinance any longer. We don't have an open space ordinance where we have $1.2 million in trust. It seems we can't do anything with it, and no farmer in Vernon, if he or she should choose to preserve their land in perpetuity as an agricultural enterprise, can't do it without a local municipal ordinance. So I would like to see those things returned to the book. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may?
Yeah.
Our planner is addressing the issue of the water deficit, Mr. Kadish. As a matter of fact, right now, those three letters are the result, my understanding, are the result of calculations that were done in Trenton, which are at best questionable. However, I want the council to know and the community to know that our planner is addressing it, and we will have more information to bring forward. We will keep you apprised of what's going on there.
All right, I was just kind of curious whether we should have the county do at least 4 or 5 wells that were done in the past that they have records of, I'm sure.
Certainly can ask them to do so.
Just to check to see if we're at a normal level.
I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Councilman Rizzuto.
My compliments to our police department for the excellent job they did in apprehending the
Right.
felon at Market Deli. And also compliments to our banking personnel at PNC Bank. It appears that the town funds are very, very safe. They have very diligent, dedicated employees.
And the people at the library, too.
Yeah, not less cameras.
That's it? Councilman Wetzel.
I'm going to compliment the mayor in continuing, and Mrs. Palladino continuing the negotiations with the Lenape Indians. And I'm just wondering if Camp Sussex was mentioned as a possible site.
Actually, Camp Sussex, the discussion of Camp Sussex is one that I intend to bring forward to the council in the not-too-distant future. And that was one of the sites that was talked about. The size of this building, I believe, is going to dictate that it be somewhere within the sewer service area, simply because the NGPT's permits in New Jersey for facilities that produce more than 2,000 gallons of sewage a day require a NGPT's permit, and that would be kind of tough. Candidly, the piece that they were interested in is the piece owned by Valley Investors, which actually runs from behind Valley Mason Supply, parallel to Vernon Crossing Road, and then down 517. It's a very large piece that is adjacent to Maple Grange and, of course, to the Black Creek. And there was discussion as to whether or not that might not be a place where the township and the tribe could do something jointly, because they don't need the whole piece, and we certainly could put it to use for addition to Maple Grange at some point in the future. So, yes, those 2 sites were mentioned. Others were also.
Anything else, Dick?
Nope.
I, too, would like to congratulate the police department. Chief Mills and Detective Talt did a great job with getting these thieves, apparently thieves, or allegedly thieves. First, I really would like to thank them, because it was a hairy thing up on the mountain. A lot of people were concerned about that, and I'm just glad that it came to an end. At the beginning of the year, at the reorg meeting, or the very first meeting thereafter, I had asked, when the police chief was here, if he could update the emergency action plan for the town. June is the beginning of the hurricane season, and although we don't live on the coast, we seem to have been affected by the last 3 big hurricanes and either tropical storms that had come through. Could you inquire as to where they are with updating the emergency action plan for
Well,
the
as you
town?
know, the director of emergency management here is still former Chief Roy Weary.
Right.
And I have had 2 conversations with him, actually just reminding him that that was a request. So I will, at the next meeting, be back.
Since I'm not part of the OEM anymore, I just didn't inquire about it.
I don't
So-
know if he took your name off.
The other thing is too, when Mountain Creek is prepared to come with the ordinance forward, could they come with a little bit more information than they had at the presentation that they started out with?
I don't want to speak for them, but I can tell you that I communicated that idea to them in our meeting.
Okay. Good. I'm glad you did.
We frankly touched on all the topics that each of you and I on an individual basis have talked about over the past 6 months: parking, traffic, funding, more definitive plans and things of that sort. Obviously, I'm not interested in having them come back and reproduce what they did here last fall. That was fine, but,
Exactly.
that was basically an introduction. So, again, the conversation has taken place. What they do is their decision, obviously.
Yeah.
I think, in fact, the council acts as the land use board in this particular
That's
situation.
correct.
And I would think that they would be coming before us and the public in the same vein that they would on the land use board. And certainly, questions answered that evening save a lot of time.
I understand.
I had been going through the budget since the last meeting, and it's a remarkable job that Elka did in her office. I'm very happy to see the results of it. That is proposed tax decrease again. Great job. Had a good teacher, Dr. No. The final thing I want to say is that a few weeks ago, we all had the misfortune of moving our clocks forward an hour. Everybody knows that when you change the time on your clock, you also change the batteries in your smoke detectors as well as your carbon monoxide detector. I would like to ask people to please do that. Also, a reminder to people with carbon monoxide detectors that are 10 years or older, they should actually replace them. The carbon monoxide detectors, very basically and in layman term, I come to find out, are like, they act as if they're the hemoglobin in your body, which stores carbon monoxide. And they do become problematic after a certain amount of years. They don't operate correctly, and they go off at the wrong time, especially when you're sleeping in the middle of the night, and now you can't get back to sleep because this thing is going off all night. But it's an easy fix. You just replace it, and they are a needed item in the house. Please make sure you're safe. And honestly, last beginning of the month, a volunteer firefighter was killed in Wallington. And he was a well-known firefighter. He was also a firefighter in Jersey City as a career officer. He was one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. And it just goes back to, we have to thank our emergency services personnel for the work that they do, because when that alarm goes off and they're out the door going, they make every intention to come home. And unfortunately, he did not. Greg Barnard did not come home, and he was fortunate enough to have his two sons with him at the fire when he passed away. So I would just like, if you see a fireman and you're able to say thank you, please do. Other than that, I have nothing else to add. Motion to adjourn? Motion made by Councilmember Rizzuto. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Kadesh. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.